doing a poolside chat. Don't have the pool behind me, but it's nearby. It's pretty cold outside right now. So a couple things I wanted to talk to you about. I've actually been pretty quiet here lately. I've had a lot going on. I've been bird dogging and tying up properties and getting ready to buy some what I think are some pretty good deals, kind of a win-win for me and the sellers. And these are pretty good size industrial properties. I've actually bought quite a few houses here recently too. In fact, I think I bought seven or 8 houses, actually. 8 houses, I guess. 9 houses in the last 14 months. Also, hey, if those of you watching, let me know if the audio is good. I just want to make sure everything is working properly. I was going to talk about the new website. I got the website redone. And really what I want to talk to is anybody out there that's, you got 50 to 200,000, maybe you're a little concerned for the future, I got a lot of father sons out there, right? I'm a father myself of 2 boys and 2 girls, and it's always on your mind. You want every generation you want to be better than the prior generation, and everybody wants that, and not everybody gets that, but and there's certainly concerns for people getting educated. Oh, audio's good. Thanks, Virgil. I appreciate that. But I've had those concerns. I don't, and I talk to a lot of people. People want to get in the class or inquire about the class, or maybe they don't have the money to get in the class. It's always tough to talk to people that don't have the money to get in the class. But I try to help everybody I can. Virgil actually is in the couch. Jerry Mills is in the couch. For a couple guys that are in here right now, and it's. We all want the best for our kids, and all you can do is kind of, lead your kids and give them choices and hope they find something that they have. I tell everybody that applies for mentorship, you got to want it. I don't want your money. I want your success. If you're not going to be successful, I don't think you're going to be successful. I try not to ever squash anybody's soul, but I like to be honest because I don't want somebody to come in and be disappointed. Where I see excitement, I see passion. I recognize it, and I'd like to try to ignite that in people when I see it. Because a lot of people don't realize how damn good they are. And believe me, I got a lot of people in the class that have done very, very well. Many, many millionaires now in the class, and in fact, Jerry's one of them. Real estate millionaires. And I've watched them make $1 million plus on real estate. It might have been millionaires before that. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, a lot of people just don't realize their potential. And a lot of what's keeping them back is they just don't know what they don't know. I was very, very fortunate. 19 years old, I went to rent a place, and I ended up buying the place. And it was a big awakening, that at 19, with no credit, I could buy a place. And then I was offered, significant amount of money, more than I just paid for the property. It's a big eye-opener, right? Wow, I can buy property. I'm 19. I don't have 2 nickels to rub together, but I can buy real estate. So, and that was, some creative financing. And then the other thing that kills me, of course, you guys know I'm super critical of the fake gurus. So many, the people that are the most popular know the absolute least about real estate. But what they are good at is igniting emotions and really taking advantage of people that are gullible and trusting, and I won't do that. It's really, really easy to take advantage of people when you're a good salesman, or if you're sharper than everybody else in the room, and or on a certain topic, right? If you know the subject well, you can take advantage of people, right? People do it all the time in day-to-day business, whether it's a body shop or a mechanic. I mean, and certainly there's very reputable people out there that don't take advantage, but the ones that don't know the ones that do. And it's just kind of how it is. But so, hey, since I got some of the classes, mates in here, so here's the new website. Jerry, I don't know if you guys have seen this here, but I've kind of I just try to make it lean and mean and to the point. And you guys know these are some of your classmates. Jerry, you're in here. Guys that have made a lot of money. There's several millionaires already that have already passed by just on this little screen. And when you go to Flip Anything USA, in fact, I'd love for you guys to go through here and just go through here, which you'll see success stories, student, and really to me that's what makes the best mentor. is somebody that has student success, and nobody has it like I do. In fact, I got a little thing. It says the real estate goat, right? People tell me I'm the real estate goat. I actually hear that a lot. And but the reason is the success. And so I'll go to that page here just for a sec. No gurus sell hype. I show you the playbook that made me a millionaire by 27 and has kept me going in this game for, 45 years. And, I've been very, very fortunate. And the students, are really, it's so cool. Guys like Jerry and Virgil and, Russ and Rich and so many on, Eric and so many people that you would know if you were in the class. And because their success was the proof of concept. And seeing the light go off in their head when they nailed the deal, and all of a sudden got a very substantial asset is very, very fun to witness and watch. And really, it's the most fun I'm having. And I care less. Going forward, I'm still making deals. I'll always make deals, but I'm not quite as assertive and not quite as aggressive because I'm kind of caught up in what's going on with my students. And so, but believe me, it's a lot of fun. And that's the thing is, the more money you have, the more choices you have. You can you don't have to if you don't have to work for a living and you can get by. Or you can do what you want for a living and get by. It's a very powerful place to be, And but so when I talk about being the GOAT, what I'm saying is that is in a reflection of the success of my students. I think that is what would be the greatest of all time, is somebody that actually has fantastic student success, and that's what I have. So anyways, and I can see I'm putting some people to sleep on here, and it's a shame, it's just a shame that, again, I don't know who's watching right now, but the fact is, if you don't have a passion for it, it's probably not going to happen. But, we can run over here. I've actually been looking, turning up a lot of property over in San Antonio. I've been looking at stuff in Dallas, kind of all over Texas, to be honest. I actually have a couple properties that I'm under contract with right now. I'm kind of excited about. I talked about it in the mentorship Saturday, but I won't talk about it here publicly yet. I always say loose lips sink ships, and be very cryptic on your deals until you got them closed. And it's just good business sense to do that. So, but let's go ahead and look at some of this stuff. This is industrial and retail in San Antonio. Put my eyes on here. Here's $23 million, so this is about $110 a foot. I don't know that. I'm guessing for that price, for that size of building, they probably have a tenant already in there. This 5.7 cap, this is ridiculous. But now I say it's ridiculous. 5.7 cap, that's for the rich. When you're already rich, you can afford to make 5.7, okay, on your investments. That's not bad. But if you're not rich, you have to make much more than that. That's why I always tell everybody, you have to flip in the beginning. Very, very important. You flip and make, you put out $100,000, buy a property, or $50,000. You want to make 50, $100,000, because you don't want it sitting there in equity. If that's all you got is $50,000 or $100,000 equity in a home, you're not going anywhere. You have to turn it. You have to get that cash back, buy something else, make another 50, 100. And now you got 200. Turn that 200 into 400. Turn that 400 into 800, 8 to 12 to whatever. Till you got maybe $1 million or a couple $1 million, at least $1 million, and then you can afford to maybe take 500,000 and throw it in something that gives you a 10 or 12 cap where you got 60,000 a year, and because now it's letting you do what you want to do full time. In fact, I got Chris in my class is making 60,000 a year. And since he quit his job making 60,000 a year, he's made anywhere from $180,000 to $240,000 a year, probably more this year. I haven't caught up with him exactly, but that's kind of how you can't afford not to flip. You really can't unless you're already got $1 million to play with, and then what I mean. Then you can maybe put, like I say, $500,000 aside and get that whatever mailbox income coming in, rental income, right? The passive stuff that everybody wants. And anyways, I'm looking at, even I have a hard time grasping some of these rates. Like this here, and I am looking right now, and this looks like a new, Endura actually is a company that seems to be growing quite fast. Let's take a look at this. They seem like they specialize in a lot of like 1980s warehouse. So this 165 a foot, still a little bit more than I'd want to pay. But, you know, let's look at this property. It's got a decent amount of yard just right off the bat. You know, the first thing I want to know is, does it have three-phase electricity? I can't see the pole. Chances are it does. Chances are it does. But a lot of times you get a big warehouse and, shoot, they don't have hardly any power at all, and that's a nightmare. You know, this is only 3/4 of an acre. Got 11,000 square foot lot, heavy industrial. Let's see. A lot of times, sometimes even the agents, to be honest, aren't wise enough to put some of the most important stuff down. You know, does it have three-phase electricity? I don't see it listed here. No offense, guys, but that should be something you put on here right away. Everybody wants to know if you got three-phase power, especially, you know, if you're running big machines. So we're looking here. Looks good. Seal Road is actually a decent road. It's actually not that big. Yeah. Again, this is too small for what I'm looking for right now, but doesn't mean we can't keep looking. Jerry wrote, first class upgrade to your webpage, very cutting edge. Oh yeah, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's you know, it's supposed to be smooth. It's supposed to be as good as it can be. I've tested as best as I can. Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, some of these guys are so proud of their industrial property. Now, this looks interesting to me. 52,000 square feet, $6.5 million. That doesn't sound terrible. 15, it sounds like, what is that, about 130,000? Or I'm sorry, $130 a foot. Let's take a closer look at this. You know, I love this kind of property. I love this kind of building. And I like just what I see right off the bat. There's plenty of room. I don't know how big the property is right off the bat, but the fact that there's a lot of room from the front-facing buildings, that's important. It opens up a lot more in the back here. Let's see, they got separately metered. You can see that. It doesn't look like heavy power. That's okay. You can see each one has its own split unit, has an air conditioner on the back here. This looks like pretty new property. $123 a foot. Now this is interesting. Huh. Now here I am showing you. I always say don't share your treasure map, and here I am. I'm opening up what might be a box of treasure here right in front of everybody. But this is pretty interesting. Gravity wrote, what would you do with $200,000 as an investment into property right now? Oh, I'll tell you exactly what I do. I'll show you what I'm doing. So look, I'm going to, guys, you know here how I am. I segue to anything anybody wants. We'll come back and talk about this, but I like this question. So look, I feel very, very confident, and I'm not much of a speculator, to be honest. Everything I buy under market. And I bought 3 houses, I think, in the last 5 weeks. And I'll show you one that I just bought a week ago, okay? And this is it right here. And I'll walk you through it, and this is something you should look at. Now, this is a house that on Zillow was about $420,000 to $450,000. Now, it actually does have some wear and tear, has some work to do. Not that much. I mean, it needs a new AC, it needs a roof, it needs 60,000, 70,000 bucks. You could put 100, but if I put 100 in this property, I'd have 327 in it. And I can tell you that the same model on the next street, fixed up, sold for $560,000. So I hope you're paying attention, Gravity, because I'm doing this for you. I'm talking to you right now. So ask more questions as we go along. Yeah. But I want you to see this. So what you do is you got $200,000, and that's a nice chunk of money. Believe me, a lot of people don't have that. But you can take that $200,000 and, I mean, listen, you can turn it into another extra. You can double it, or you can make $100,000 with it. Or, it just depends. Making $100,000 with $200,000 is very, very easy. And this would be a perfect example. You buy a house like this here, and we'll walk through this a little bit.
Hey, Dan.
And so tell me if you guys can hear this.
To 240.
Okay. Now, this place needs a lot of work. And if you looked in Zillow, it would show that this is worth $420. Can you hear it or not?
They don't know how bad it is.
And it's funny, when I'm buying something, of course, I see everything that's wrong. But once I get the contract signed, I start seeing potential, and I start thinking, this isn't so bad. All right, tell me if you can hear this, guys. I don't want to waste my time or yours. Could you hear the video going off this or not? But so we got a decent sized living room in here. You know, this stuff is kind of old fashioned anymore, you know, so this will probably come out.
All right, good. Thank you, buddy.
This little hallway thing, you know, it's a supporting wall.
Oh, good. So you're a carpenter. Believe me, that's fantastic. Listen, it's you know, you don't have to be a carpenter to make money in real estate. It's good when you have the capacity to read a tape, read a level, you know, be handy with your hands. You have a really, really great advantage because you open yourself up to being able to handle properties that other people just throw their hands up because they don't know how to bid it or they don't know how to, you know, judge the cost. So good for you, Gravity. That's already a big one for you. So I'm walking through this property. You know, I don't know if you guys caught what I said when I first walked in, but I'm very negative on a property until I get it signed. Then once I get it signed, I start to see all the good things about it. So let's watch a little bit of this.
Thinking, this isn't so bad. But, so we got a decent sized living room in here. You know, this stuff is kind of old fashioned anymore.
Yeah, listen, SSRYA, Saria, I'll call you. Yeah, I feel very, very good about pricing. I mean, I'm buying a little bit below market anyways, below current market, which is 100 grand down from last year, or 50 grand down from last year, depending on where you're at. So yeah, I'm buying below market still. That's my hedge anyways. But I feel very confident that I'm coming up from here. You know, every time the interest rate drops a quarter point, that saves about, I think I decided that's about whatever, I don't know, $60 per 100 grand or something like that. Or maybe that's it. No, it doesn't matter. But anyhow, but the line of convergence of what properties rent for and what properties cost to buy, with 20% down, they're about 400 or 500 higher to buy the same property that it costs you to rent. And every quarter point, these are getting closer. Within a point and a half, it'll drop about $400 a month in a payment on average of a $320,000 loan. Those lines will converge, and once they converge, now that person, that renter, is now within the ballpark of buying a home for the same price of what it costs to rent, which makes anybody that they're borrowing from more comfortable. So those lines of convergence are very important, and that's what we're coming up to. I did stop it. I'm going to play it going again here. So I'm going to get this going ahead, and you guys can start watching this, and I'll circle back to these questions. Please hang out, because I'm going to get to your questions, but just watch a little bit of this.
You know, so this will probably come out.
All that old crap.
This little hallway thing, you know, it's a supporting wall up with what's above, but you know, this may be something we could just throw in a beam, or maybe a concealed beam, and open this up even a little more, make the living room even bigger than it is. This for sure is going to come out. This for sure. I'll put a beam up here.
I'll take that whole wall out to open up the kitchen.
Side of the cabinet. This will be just a big old long bar. You know, kitchen bar. Got a decent little eating area here, and this will come out. I don't like this closet thing. This will come out for sure. And, you know, might even put the fridge here, or, I don't know. But the cabinets are definitely trash. This house would be too nice to keep these cabinets. This wouldn't be worth it. I mean, you know, you can go two different ways on something. These cabinets are intact, and they actually, they feel bad. You know, that's not bad. And, you know, the interest rates are a little bit high right now, too, so things aren't moving. I've been buying a lot of...
So it's funny, you'll see, this is and I'm guilty of this. I'm knocking the cabinets and saying, I need to rip these out. But as I start to play with them, I start thinking, you know what? There's, you know, $15,000, $20,000 worth of cabinets in here. Maybe these aren't so bad. Maybe I'll paint them.
Houses. This will be 7th or 8th house I bought in the last 14 months. And I'm only buying stuff, of course, it's got to be a great deal. And this falls into that category. But this could be a little bit of a heavy lift. You know, if I wanted to replace all the cabinets and all the stuff, and even, to be honest, even painting the cabinets is a pain in the ass. And to do it right, you're going to spend $2,000 painting these cabinets to really make it look good. But so I think, yeah, this is it. We're going to tear the cabinets out for sure in this thing. But, because it'll make it look so pretty. And I actually saw another builder that had remodeled a similar house, and he did a beautiful job. He really did. Man, it's really, and this neighborhood has such great upward potential. It's kind of the one that was in the outskirts. Well, now it's kind of in the middle of everything, so it's really, really neat. So this is, so we got our kitchen. We'll come back here, Miguel, and we'll kind of walk you guys through. You're going to see coming this way, they got, I like to call these mud rooms too. You know, it's a big old room. It's got an exterior door,
And I got that same washer dryer somewhere else. Anyway, and this is a probate. People died, and the kids are selling it off. But it is pretty nasty in some places. Now look, here's the garage. This I'm restoring the garage. I'm not keeping it this way. We're gonna put garage doors on this, and this will just be a big double car garage. And we'll keep the wall here, and because this is a very nice, utility room. Let's do it. This is 1,818 square feet. I really like this actually. Here's the master. You can see they're using window AC because the air conditioner. I mean, it's a given. So I don't know if you saw that, but there's
Cabinet.
the AC's out. They got wall units everywhere. And so there's 15 grand right there for a new AC unit. But these are the reasons I got such a good deal on this. And one of the other reasons is, and I'm going to show you guys copper wiring. A lot of the guys don't really know much about copper wiring as opposed to aluminum. Aluminum's a problem. There's some aluminum wiring that is not as bad as others, but I always beat up the seller on aluminum wiring, even though sometimes it's not as bad as it looks. And I'll talk about that too. Yeah, SSRI, you're worried about nothing. Listen, there's people with money. You may not have money, or you may see just the downsides, but believe me, I don't care if the population is shrinking. A lot of the population is getting very rich, and there's plenty of rich people out there, and there's plenty of people working, and we got almost $18 trillion of new business coming to the country, so people are going to be working. Eventually, maybe you're worrying about a problem 50 years down the road. Listen, you worry about that shit, you're never going to make any money. Be in the present. It's not bad right now. So, I'm sorry, I'm responding to a question. Let's keep watching. And I want you guys to see this aluminum wiring. Very, very important. If you don't know, very important.
Outside, it's kind of neat, this big rock they got there.
And nice big tree. Backyard, this is very large. That's one of the big pluses. These properties are a third acre, so it's a really nice, good-sized backyard. Boy, another step back here. Also, the driveway, there's a $5,000 driveway. It's all cracked to shit. If I did that, I'd probably re-pour this. I don't like this being forced to low to the ground, to be honest. And then they extended it. But the fence, everything isn't bad, right? Got a new fence here. That one is not bad. Even that fence, as new as that looks, it'll look like that in a year. That's just what happens here. It's just kind of pretty green-gray. We got rock all the way around. I don't see any cracks in the foundation. So I think it's pretty solid. This is pretty much everything is rock down here anyway. I mean, you're built on rock. Oh, you got a lot of weeds and stuff to remove here. But, yeah, this is a garbage tree. This is not a good tree. So I'll probably remove at least half of this tree, because it does nothing for the house. In fact, if there's a foundation problem, it's probably going to be over here. These trees, the way they grow, the roots kind of just almost stay, they hit the rock, and then look at here, they just stay above the ground. See that? Oh, this one's rotten. That's actually a branch. But the roots are very much like that. You can see a root in here. They don't sink in and go down deep like an oak tree or a cedar elm. Hey, there's another shed. And the fascia, so this is one of the things I always look at, because I always have to fix fascia. Somebody's already fixed this fascia. It already had probably water rot. Not sure why they cut that back like that. But, you can see this stuff here. Yeah, it's soft. But we can patch that. It's not so far gone we couldn't patch it and make it look nice. Yeah, this is what's really weird. Look back here. There's somebody just went crazy with a drill motor. They drilled screws in here. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But it's just filled with holes. And there's screws. Look at it. Somebody just screwed. Look at this. Isn't that weird? Everywhere. But there's screws too. You see there's screws. There's screws in the concrete. We'll zoom up. Take a look at that. Look at this. Bizarre.
And of course that causes cracking. And this probably wasn't already cracked, but I don't see any obvious signs on the foundation. But and this is, So anyways, I ended up getting this house for $227,000. I got a nice video coming out. You guys will see this soon. I'm kind of giving you a jump ahead. Add Gravity. So Gravity, since you're also a carpenter, I don't know how versed you are with electrical, but let me just show you guys something. This is something also you should check this out. This is rebar that is penetrated through the foundation. When rebar should never see the light of day. It should be completely encased in the concrete. And where it does, if it goes through the ground, that's terrible. If it gets in the ground, and sometimes people will use they'll use a piece of rebar to hold up their tied together rebar. And that's a big mistake because it acts like a wick. And it's like a steel wick coming in, and the rust is coming in, and it starts to damage the concrete. Well, I caught this one on the side here, and I'll chip this out. But you can see right here, that's a piece of rebar. And it's starting to rust, and it's starting to fracture, expand, and crack the slab and damage, the walls. And this is a 50-year-old house, so it's not that big a deal, but good thing to take a look at. And then I'll get into the wiring here in a minute. This way, it's like a fuse. You're like lighting a rust fuse. It's going in, and it will give the concrete cancer. But basically what you see is this rusting, and it pushed this out. It damaged it. It cracked it. I just tapped it and knocked it out. So, but that can be ground off, and that can be sealed. But here's another one right here. Look. That's not a good thing. It's not the end all, but it's not a good thing. So I'm gonna show you.
I'll take a picture of it. We'll
the aluminum wiring problem. A lot of people aren't aware of.
I mean, this is just not done right. You know what I mean? There's probably no steel in this. There's probably no steel in this at all. Otherwise, it would look decent. And look at the neighbor. Neighbor's got a beautiful home across the street. And next door is not bad. It's kind of funny. Next door, there's a nice guy. I met him, but he looks like he's got a weird set of bird houses, right? I don't know what kind of bird it is. He was talking to me about it. But you'll see, well, if you want to walk, it looks like, again, this tree's, you can see the bottom of the steel. Big, and we trim it back. EE box, General Electric box is a fine box.
Just be careful, he's hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to pull from the hot side. I'm going to pull from the ground side.
I don't like my fingers in there.
I'm treating it like it's hot because I'm afraid of it anyways. Okay, let's take a look.
So,
now take a look at what I was talking about. Take a look. See that? Aluminum in the middle, copper on the outside. And so the problem with this stuff is, you can go pull back a little bit. Copper bends. You can just bend copper infinitely over and over and over again, and it doesn't break. Aluminum, you go like this, snap, it breaks. That's what's really bad about aluminum. It's just not very flexible. And it's got some other things that aren't as good a qualities for connectivity. But anyhow, that's confirmed. But that is what copper clad looks like, and that's what I'll be reporting to the people I buy this from to get it down. And this is actually good for having aluminum. This is the best case for having aluminum. You can still use copper connectors or copper rated switches and stuff because it's touching copper. It's when it's not when it's aluminum to copper. They have things called Copaloom too, where it's kind of an alloy that mixes the two, where you use Copaloom wire nuts. You won't need to do that because sometimes if I have an aluminum house, I have to use these Copaloom wire nuts in order to put a little short copper pigtail so that can plug into the switch, and then a Copaloom connector. That's it. Put this back. Keep my fingers out of the bad stuff. There we go. So this is old, and we know it doesn't work. Look at that.
So I already know that AC shop. But I'll have a very nice video for you guys to watch on this. But listen, that aluminum wiring. Listen, it's I every time I buy a house that's aluminum wiring, that house is much safer when I'm done with it, because I'll pigtail every tie in behind, and it can eventually break it. You'll see these things get hot, but when it's copper clad, where you have aluminum but there's copper around it, it acts like a sleeve. It holds it together. It's much better. It's not nearly as bad, but you still get to call them out for aluminum wiring and bring the price down. And that's what I did on this. I ended up getting this house for $227. I expect I'll sell it for probably 120% more than I paid for it. And I'll make well over $100,000, maybe 150 on this one, maybe more, maybe a little more, maybe 200. It's possible. But I do believe the economy is roaring back. I know a lot of you aren't feeling it, and I understand that. I'm still 100% occupied. I've got hundreds of thousands of square feet of rentals of various kinds. I have office, I have industrial, I have commercial, and they're all full. I got one 2,000 square foot vacancy, which is like nothing. It's nothing compared to what I got. So but you guys that, don't, and Esria or whatever your name is, listen, man, don't get caught up in the naysayer stuff and worrying about everything's going to hell because the population's going down, whatever. There's plenty of money to be made, and there's good neighborhoods, there's bad neighborhoods, and you want to live in a good neighborhood, then don't worry about it. If you want to live in a bad neighborhood, then maybe you will worry about that. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry for the freezing and that sort of thing, but hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and be sure to go to Flip Anything USA and check out all the success. I got really fantastic success, and I hope to see you there.